Om. 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 And would you please take out your chanting sheet? Now, I think I said this last, but I don't remember. These two chants are traditional. The first is 3 verses from a hymn called the Guru Stotra. It's the hymn to the teacher. And I do it before each class out of my reverence and respect for my teacher, Swami Chinmayananda. So I will chant a line and then you repeat it after me. And don't worry, over the 12 weeks, this will get, as we say in Italian, engolata, in the throat. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha. Together. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha. Gurur Eva Param Brahma. Together. Gurur Eva Param Brahma. Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Chinmayam Vyapyat Sarvam. Together. Chinmayam Vyapyat Sarvam. Trilokyam Sacharacharam. Together. Trilokyam Sacharacharam. Atpadam darshitam yena. Tatpadam darshitam yena. Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah. Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah. Twameva Mata Chapita. Twameva. Together. Twameva Mata Chapita. Twameva. Twameva Bandhuscha Sakha. Twameva. Twameva Panchuscha Sakha. Twameva. Twameva Vedya Dravinam. Twameva. Twameva Vedya Dravinam. Twameva. Twameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva. Twameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva. And it repeats. Twameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva. Then I always say, Jai Guru, and pranam to Swami Chinmayananda. So you have the translation underneath. And
Jim, I just
then
want to say hi. Michael has joined, just letting you know.
who has?
Michael Shrum.
Hari Om, welcome.
Hari Om, Hari Om.
Then the second one we worked on last week are peace invocation from the Upanishads. And again, I'll line it out and you repeat. Om Sahana Vavatu. Together. Om Sahana Vavatu. Sahanau bhunaktu, Sahanau bhunaktu, Sahaviryam karavavahai, Sahaviryam karavavahai, Tejasvinavadhitamastu, Tejasvinavadhitamastu, Ma vidvishavahai, Ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. So we invoke our study together, and again, you have the translation. We repeat Shanti, which means peace, 3 times. And what we want to do is be free from agitations in our physical body, free from any agitations in the world, and free from agitations in my mind. Or any demons out there that might be in us. All right, so we have some new people and we have some returning people tonight. So let's go around and share names. Let's start over here.
My name's Maya.
I'm Liam.
Soundarya. Bhavna. Preeti.
Daryl. Mali. Milad.
Laura.
Paulo. Jim. And online, who do we have?
Jory.
Michael.
Mark.
Soumya.
Well, welcome to everybody. So last week, we had the first verse, which identified for whom is this text written. Just quick summary. It's not for people who already are Brahmavid, knowers of the truth. Sthita prajna, people who are men and women of steady wisdom. It's also not for the complete materialist. Someone comes in here and they're all interested in drug, sex, and rock and roll, and that's what their life is about. This isn't for you. Go live your life. And if you crash and burn, then come back. So it's for people who have doubts. Is there purpose to my life? Is there freedom from this limited sense of self? Any thoughts on this? Did anybody have any questions about that first verse? And we went to it in detail last week. I forgot to give you an instruction. Who can tell me what swadhyaya is? Oh, we have yogis here. Come on, you know. Self-study. So in the Vedanta tradition, the one we have here, what you do is you go home and you review the verse. I would recommend that you read Swamiji's commentary and you think about it. And you go through the ideas as best as you can remember. So it's not only the Shravana, hearing the teaching here, but your own mananam, that's thinking about it. Your own contemplation, and then in the end, deep meditation on it. Does everybody understand that principle? So this is not a passive class in that sense. We hand you tools, but you have to do the work. Then the second verse was about the whole phenomenon of adhyasa. Who remembers what adhyasa is? Well, that's avidya or maya or ajnanam. Adhyasa, snake in the rope. Superimposition. Remember, we talked about the story of the person who was deluded, and there was a rope on the ground, and he thought it was a snake. Then a very smart woman comes up behind him with a letter and says, "Dude, that's not a snake, it's a rope." So we had the phenomenon of superimposition. What is the phenomenon? Phenomenon. I can't say it. Superimposition. First is the non-apprehension of what's real. In our story, the rope is what's there. Then we have the subsequent misapprehension. I imagine a snake. Remember, we went around and I asked, "Where's the snake? Is it on the ground?" Remember that? Where's the snake?
In his mind.
In my mind. So the reference is this: you already are birthless, changeless, deathless. Vishuddham. What's that mean? We've got some Hindi speakers. Don't make me do all the work.
Your
Extremely pure. So it's not about miserable me, Jim, working very hard so I can become a super goody. That's not the process. Now, by all means, we hope you work on your character, just out of compassion for the rest of us. But that does not bestow liberation. Liberation is not an ontological problem. It's not my stupid, miserable self needs to become a new self. I don't get glued on to God. I don't join God. No, you already are that. But I'm profoundly ignorant of it. Remember last week, I said, I'm thinking of a song lyric. It's a different song lyric this week. What song lyric am I thinking of?
You don't know.
That's right. You are ignorant. How long have you been ignorant?
Don't ask.
You've been ignorant since the beginning of time. Now, what are you going to do? Somebody asked me what the song lyric is.
what's the song number?
Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. A very spiritual song, but now you know. So the antidote to ignorance is not action. How many jumping jacks did you need to do? Won't work. How many times do you have to run around the block? Won't work. How long do you need to fast? Doesn't do any good. How many good deeds? I'm not saying these are not efficacious, but what they do is purify the mind. Chitta Shuddhi, purity of mind. They are preparatory. And those of you who took the Art of Meditation course, you remember my image that I used. I'm a foodie. I like to cook. So I have a big, ripe beefsteak tomato and a dull knife. If I try to slice the tomato with the dull knife, it goes squish. Anybody ever done that besides me? So what's the preliminary exercise? Sharpen the knife. Have a good knife sharpener. Tomato isn't sliced. Still isn't sliced.
Mhm.
How much knife sharpening do I need to do? Knife sharpening won't do it. You first sharpen the knife, do all these spiritual practices, then slice the tomato. Now, not now, but later, if you go into the dining room and look at the painting that's next to the window right here, you will see a Buddhist deity named Manjushri. Anybody ever seen Manjushri before? Very cool dude. And he's got the wonder sword of knowledge above his head. Absolutely the same thing. That needs to be sharpened through our various spiritual practices. But those do not, in and of themselves, solve the problem. Then we need Atma Vichara. What does that mean? We've got some Sanskrit speakers.
Self-inquiry?
Inquiry into the nature of the self. You got it. Atma just simply means self. Vichara comes from the root vich, which means literally to winnow, to separate the wheat from the chaff. So that's what our investigation is going to be about. Now, please understand, I'm not saying, oh, it doesn't matter if I go out and get drunk and have steak every night and I'm mean to everybody and then I'm going to steal the next time I go to the market. I'm not saying that our behavior is not important. But these various practices to purify the mind are preparatory. Very important point. If you would like to get a list of very simple moral precepts by which you might want to live, I'm very fond of what we call the yamas and niyamas of the Raja Yoga tradition. Who's heard of those? If you're interested, I'll bring a handout of them for next week because I have one. They're really nice. Okay, that's a summary of the first two verses. Anybody have any thoughts or questions on them? Okay, verse 3.
Wait, actually, Jim, can I just make sure I got, so you were saying that first we need to kind of cut through ignorance through spiritual purification and then inquiry into the self?
No. You can't cut through spiritual ignorance with an action. You have to have an appropriate tool. The tool is the subtle mind. So the spiritual practices themselves give you a sharp tool.
Mhm.
Then you take that sharp tool and inquire into your self nature. Let me give you a real life experience. Who has ever sat in meditation and you're just squirmy and you can't sit still and your mind's racing and you say, this just isn't for me. And then you get up. Who's done that? The reason is because your mind is vulgar and filled with all sorts of impurities. Not making this up. That's what it is. So we do these preparatory exercises to help us purify the mind. Now, who's, for example, gone on a meditation retreat of 4 days or 10 days, and everything just empties out by that time? And all of a sudden, your experience of the phenomenal world is so brilliant, and there's no person there. There's just direct knowing. Who's had that experience? Yeah. What changed? Your vulgar mind got pure. That's all that happened. Listen very carefully. Both bondage and liberation occur to the mind. Your self nature, your essential nature is ever free. What is my bondage? There is no other bondage than the deeply rooted conviction that I'm bound, meaning I think I'm a person. I think I'm my body. That's the root attachment, bijavasana in Sanskrit. Again, for Westerners, you don't have to worry about the Sanskrit. I share it because we have many salvations here. There is no other liberation than the deeply rooted conviction, technically in the subtle intellect, the buddhi. Not that I'm an enlightened person, come touch my feet. No, but I am that ground of being. I'm not a person. That was just a very long and very vivid dream. And that's based in direct experience. It's not just data. It's not just information. The technical words are paroksha jnanam, which means indirect knowledge, which you get from the teacher and the reading of the scripture. Then there's aparoksha jnanam, direct experience. Swamiji used to say, you can read about electricity, but if I take off the lampshade and unscrew the light bulb, then I know electricity. Direct experience. All right. 3.
Avirodhitaya karma na vidyam vinivartayet vidya vidyam nihantyeva tejasti mira sanghavat. Action cannot destroy ignorance, as it is not opposed to ignorance. Knowledge does verily destroy ignorance, just as light destroys deep darkness.
Yes. So, once upon a time, there was a king, and he drank too much, and he liked to smoke dope. And so one night, I don't know about you, but alcohol and marijuana really doesn't mix too well. This is going back before most of you were born when I learned this. Poor king, he gets really loaded and he goes to bed. And of course, it's dark, wakes up in the middle of the night and he's still totally stoned. And he goes, come quickly, bring brooms and sweep out the darkness. Of course, all the servants, he's the king, you know. And brooms and they're sweeping and sweeping and sweeping. And what happens to the darkness?
Nothing.
Why not? Because sweeping does not contradict. It is not opposed to darkness. And finally, the chief minister comes in with a lantern. Where does the darkness go? Gone. So what Shankara is saying, he's reinforcing what we talked about in verse 2. The antidote to my problem, which is ignorance, is not action. Antidote is knowledge. Again, not indirect knowledge, but the direct experience of who I am. Now, I'm going to tell you a little bit of something about the literary style that Shankara uses. If he makes a list, we don't get too many lists in this text. He'll put the important thing first, and then there's, they're all important, but what he says first and second is most important. Also, if he repeats a point, usually with a little bit different imagery, poetry slightly different, but if he repeats it, pay attention. That means it's important. And in other texts, he might make the same point with 3 or 4 verses. Dude and dudettes. This is really important. So notice he's made the point twice now. Action is not opposed to ignorance. The antidote to ignorance is direct experience. It's direct knowledge. Next verse.
Parichinna ivanyata tannase sati kevala swayam prakashate hyatma meghapaim sumaniva. The self appears to be finite because of ignorance. When ignorance is destroyed, it is recognized to be infinite, absolute. The self reveals itself by itself, like the sun when the clouds pass away.
Yes. So one of the metaphors that I like to use, anybody know about the treasure ship, the Atocha? It was a Spanish galleon that sank in the 1500s, and it was just discovered like about 20, 25 years ago. Incredible stuff they brought up. But one of them was this kind of lumpy thing, and it was all covered with barnacles. So they had to put it in this special solution that actually killed the barnacles. And then they were able to remove them. Underneath was a solid gold crucifix, a cross. It wasn't a crucifix, it did not have a body on it, but a cross with precious stones, rubies and emeralds and things. Incredible piece of treasure. Now, notice what they did. All they needed to do was remove the covering, the barnacles, and the golden cross was there. You didn't have to go through another process. This building is 100 years old. There is no exhaust fan in the bathroom. In the morning, when I take a shower and I look at the mirror above the sink, it's all foggy. Any of you have that in your apartments or homes? Yes, no?
Mhm.
Yeah. So what do you have to do if you want to brush your teeth or shave or whatever?
You brush your teeth before you take a shower.
Smart. What's another possibility?
The window.
Open the window, turn on the exhaust fan if you have one. So do you have to remove the steam and then add something to the mirror? No, actually, the mirror is just always there, reflecting whatever's, in front of it. So also in this work, our job is to remove the little self and its various manifestations: egoism, attachment. And what Shankara is saying is the self reveals itself by itself. Now, when we talk about the self, one of the things that's incredibly important is we don't externalize it. What do you think about the self? Or what do you think about the self? If it's some idea up there in the sky, who sees the water glass? I do. You all see the water glass?
Yes.
Who sees it?
I do.
That's yourself. You don't get another self. My problem is not that I have the wrong self. My problem is I have covered that direct experience with all sorts of ideas, feelings, perceptions, etc. So all I need to do is remove the false identification. There's two stories I like to tell about this. The first one's very famous for Westerners. For Indians, it's not so much. But in the Hebrew Bible, we have this character Moses. Moses, by the way, is a very good Egyptian name. But the king of Egypt wants to kill all the babies. So Moses's mother wraps him in a blanket, puts him in a wicker basket, and just dumps him into the Nile River. Moses is floating down the Nile River, and he gets caught in the rushes. And Pharaoh's daughter finds the baby. And Moses is raised thinking he's a prince of Egypt. And then when he's an adult, it's revealed to him, no, you're not an Egyptian, you're an Israelite. Now, did his physiognomy change in any way? Did he get different facial features? Did his skin tone change? Does his hair color change? Did any of that change for Moses? Yes, no?
No.
No. What changed? His idea of himself. Do you see that?
Mhm.
That's what changed. Before he thought he was a prince of Egypt. After that enlightenment, he realizes that he's an Israelite. My problem is, I think I'm the body, or I think I'm the body plus the personality. Now, here in this verse, Shankara talks about how the self reveals itself by itself. For some of you, I might be able to give you a taste of that. How do you know that you are you? Do you see, hear, taste, touch, or smell yourself? We talked a little bit about subject-object discrimination. I'm the knower of my body. I'm not my body. I can know my body through the senses, but that's an object of cognition. How do I know me? I'm not a feeling. All sorts of emotions, but myself is not something I emote. I'm not a thought, although I have a lot of thoughts about myself. I'm good, I'm bad, I'm tall, I'm short, I'm male, I'm female, I'm young, I'm old, I'm successful, I'm not. lovable, I'm not lovable. All these are just thoughts. But how do you know that you are you? I don't know, I just do. That's right. The self is swayambhu, we say in the tradition, self-evident. In the tradition, we talk about what's called a pramana. A pramana is a means of knowledge. So, for example, look at the bowl on the coffee table. I, Jim, subject, through seeing means of knowledge, know the bowl, object of knowledge, knower, knowing, and know. This is called the triputi, the triple factor. Everybody see that? I, through touch, know the breeze of the fan. I, through hearing, know the sound of the traffic outside. I, through manas, mind, know feeling. I, through buddhi, intellect, no thoughts, images. How do you know you? You are self-evident. You are swayam jyoti, self-luminous, self-shining. Introvert the attentive faculty. Inquire into yourself. Koham. Who am I? What am I? With a mind that's very still in the space between your thoughts. See if you can notice the knower. And there's nothing there. That's right. There's no person there. Yet that subject is Chid Akasha, the space of pure awareness. Now, it's always been that. But just like as Shankara was saying, the clouds obscure the orb of the sun. This is very interesting. If it's nighttime and I go outside and it's overcast and we have light pollution in a city, you may not know that it's overcast. But if it's daytime, you can go outside and you can see if it's overcast. Am I making sense? By what light do you know that you cannot see the sun? The light of the sun. Isn't that true?
Yeah.
Yes. So if I think I'm a miserable creature, I'm so traumatized, I am not successful, nobody loves me. Are you miserable? Oh, yes, I'm so miserable. Do you know your misery? Yes. Do you exist? Of course you exist. Nobody ever really doubts I am. I know. I just cover that up with all these false ideas. Don't believe me. Don't believe Shankara. Right now, in the space between your thoughts, turn the attentive faculty of the mind inward. Who are you? Remember, if you can see it, it in you, yet you are not unknown. Having the shift in identity from body identity to the real self is what frees us. Because if you keep checking that out, you will begin to see you're always safe. Your essential nature is inviolate. Nothing ever really touches you. Like the center of a cyclone, everything spins around, but you are a still point. But in my mind, I have the non-apprehension of that, and then the subsequent misapprehension. I think I'm a person, and I need to be defended and protected. President of the United States said, I want to invade Greenland because the Norwegians didn't give me the Nobel Prize. Did you hear that on the news today? This guy needs some spiritual direction. Somebody out there?
I dropped my glasses.
Oh, but the self in him and the self in the Buddha and the self in you and the self in Jesus is the same. There was a term used in this verse, Kevala. Who can tell me what Kevala means?
Only. Only?
One, only, alone. There's only one of us here. The self in me is not like the self in you. Self in me is the self in you. We'll play with that one later. All right, next verse. Which number is this?
5.
5.
Ajnana kalu samjeevam jnana abhyasa vinirmalam Kritva jnanam swayam nashe jalam katakat renuvat. Constant practice of self-knowledge purifies the egocentric self, which is defiled by ignorance, and having bestowed self-knowledge, it itself disappears, just as the powder of the kataka nut settles down after it has cleaned the muddy water.
So this is a South Indian, a Malayali image. You're Malayali, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yes. So in the Malayalis are the people who today live in Kerala, which is in the south of India on the west coast. absolutely gorgeous. It's tropical, and there are these big Nambudri houses. They're gorgeous. They have these porticos because people live a lot outside because it's hot. There's 3 seasons there: hot, hotter, and hottest. Um, so the ladies go down to either the tank or the river or a lake in the morning to get water, which they use all day long. And the jars are what, about 4 feet tall. Did you see any of this when you were a child, Molly?
Not really, no.
So,
I've seen it in villages though.
oh yeah, and they're uh, the women are slim, and they have usually like a little thing of cloth. It's like a donut that they put on their head, and they take these enormous jars of water and they go on their head. They don't even touch them. And they're with the other ladies, and they walk back up to the village. It's amazing to see. Now, something happens during the monsoon. So in the monsoon, the rains come and the rivers flood, but it washes silt into the water. So when the ladies go down to the river or the tank or the lake, there's silt suspended in the water. So what they do after they get the water, they have this powder that's made from a nut called the kataka nut. And before all this, they've got their mortar and pestle, and they grind it all up. And then they put the powder into the jar. The water is dirty, so what they do is add more dirt, the kataka nut. But the kataka nowadays, by the way, they use alum. They don't, that's what they do instead. And I don't understand the chemistry. Nilan could probably tell us this, but it does something to the surface tension.
Yeah, it acts as a detergent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what it does is all the silt collects and then it sinks to the bottom. And then they decant the water. So that's what they do to get potable water during the monsoon. We have something similar in the basement. We have the laundry room. So I take my dirty clothes, and then I have this little container, and inside are Tide Pods. Anybody else use Tide Pods? So they add dirt to my dirty clothes, but it's a special dirt. It's detergent. And both the dirt and the detergent are rinsed away. So this is the imagery that Shankar is using. So jnana abhyasa is the term he used, the practice of knowledge helps with your dirty mind. What it does is brainwash you. Literally, it washes away the ignorance. In the end, both are gone. So what is jnana abhyasa? Probably the most powerful practice that we learned. And we got this on, I think it was lesson 5 of the Art of Meditation class, was subject object discrimination. I is the eternal subject, never known as an object. Anything in the phenomenal world is an object and is anatman for now, not self. So, can you see the water glass? Who sees the water glass?
do.
Are you a water glass? You're the one who sees the water glass. Can you hear the sound of the traffic?
Yes.
Who hears it?
I do.
Are you traffic noise? We can go through all five senses. Now let's go to the body itself. When you were a child, you had a little body. You went through adolescence and your body changed. And you have become a young adult. Some of us are a little adulterer more than others, a little older. But if you look at a photo of your 10-year-old body, where did it go? Literally down the toilet and down the drain. Didn't it? But did you change? And were not you the witnesses of the changes in the body? Who may have an ache or a pain in their body now? Something's a little tense or tight. Who knows it? I do. Take a deep breath and feel the breath in the body. Do you not know the breath in the body? Essentially, the same way you know the water glass. I am not the body. The body in Sanskrit is called the Annamaya Kosha. Anam means cooked rice. So Maya means comprised of. So it's the sheath. Kosha is a sheath. The sheath comprised of food. I will tell you what the physical body is. It is a food tube. Through your life, you will consume a mountain of food and produce a mountain of food. And in the end, whether you're buried or cremated or thrown in the river, food for worms or fishes. That is a body. You are not the body. You are the knower of the body. Next level, pranamaya kosha, the energy body. Sometimes I've gone to the gym and I've been working out. I'm all full of energy. Sometimes I had too much sugar the night before, or maybe a couple glasses of wine. I've got a bug and I wake up. Ugh. Who's had those feelings? What's the difference? My energy level. That's called prana. But I know the prana. It rises and falls. Sometimes I have a lot of energy, sometimes I don't have any energy. I am not prana. I'm the knower of prana. We say neti neti. Who can tell me what that means?
Not this.
Yes. Na iti, na iti. Next level, manomaya kosha. Manas means your mind. For simplicity's sake, I'm not going to go into the depth analysis of the mind. We can say it's the place where judgment and feeling happens. It's actually what creates the world for us. Sometimes I feel joy, sometimes sorrow, sometimes enthusiasm, sometimes boredom, sometimes I'm frightened, sometimes I'm peaceful. I have all these feelings, but I know the feelings. I am not my feelings. Not this. Not this. Now we go to a subtler level, the Vijnanamaya kosha, the intellectual sheath. also has the buddhi, the pure intellect in it. In your head, do the problem 2 plus 2. Visualize a mango. Remember what you had for lunch. That place is your intellect. It's where thought happens. But the thoughts go by like your hand in front of your face. I am not my thoughts. In the Vijnanamaya Kosha is one particular function called karta, which means the doer, the sense of agency. It is where the subtle intellect attributes to the self the qualities of the non-self. Sometimes it's very thick. When the mind is caught up in paranoid self-observation, how am I doing? Am I okay? What do they think of me? Who's ever had thoughts like that? Isn't it fun? It sucks. It sucks. But sometimes you're totally engrossed in a project, or you're totally absorbed into listening to music, or reading a book, or making love. And that individual self that's so painful is gone. But do not I see it rise and fall, come and go. Don't I? It can't be who I am because it changes, and I see the changes. I see it thicken when I'm self-conscious. I see it thin when I'm absorbed in an activity or indeed meditation. So if I'm not that, again, with your mind very still, introvert the attentive faculty. Who am I? You see, there's no person there. This is inquiry into the nature of the self. Atma Vichara. All right, next verse.
Samsara swapna tulyo hi ragadvesha sankula swakale satyavad bhati prabodhe satya sadbhave. The world, which is full of attachments, aversions, and so on, is like a dream. It appears to be real as long as the dream continues, but becomes unreal when one wakes up, when true wisdom dawns.
So, Vedanta draws a parallel between the waking state reality that we run around in and the dream state. So when we talk about having ideas of self, it's much more powerful than just a thought. It's much more akin to hypnotism, and it's certainly very much like a dream. So we talk about swapna, the dream state. You are the God of your dream. He says samsara, which is the world that we live in, the world of suffering, the world of becoming, the world of feeling like a limited person with trials and tribulations. How does it come about? in the same way as microcosmically the dream does. You have what I call mini Maya. So the first thing that happens in a dream, you go to bed and you go to sleep. Sleep is the non-apprehension of myself as the waker. Then my one unified mind goes, ta-da! And the dream appears. And I have a dream body, which is a locus of perception. From the dream body, I peep out at a dream world, and I have a dream ego identified. It's me. And there are dream people, places, things, and conditions that seem other. And inside, I have dream thoughts and feelings, reactions to the dream experiences. I had a dream this morning. My dear friend Jojo and I were doing something in this building about laying floor. And all of a sudden, we went over and there was like a bakery counter, and he was going to buy me a donut. And then I woke up before I got the donut. But all of that and the dream Jojo were all things my mind had projected. Now listen carefully. Your limited ego is not projecting the phenomenal world in toto. So if Soundarya gets hit by a bus, we don't all disappear. We disappear for her. Ishvara is the dreamer. Ishvara is the Lord. So your individual body, mind, intellect are all characters in God's dream. But the ground of being for it all is consciousness. So, how do I determine that the dream is unreal? To the dreamer, the dream seems completely real. It just seems as real as this does to you and me right now. The technical term in Vedanta is you negate it, and that proves its unreality. Meaning I wake up. What happens to the dream when I wake up? Poof, it's gone. Now, that doesn't mean there are not factors in it. You get into dream analysis if you do Jungian stuff. These are metaphors and symbols of things in my unconscious, but the actual phenomena of the dream are just imagination. So what Shankara is saying, this personal sense of self is not a real entity. It comes about like a dream. Now, I can feel it for many of you when we did the subject-object discrimination and your attention was turned back on your essential nature and things fell away. You had the sense, oh, my God, Jim's right. There's nothing there. And then 5 minutes later, you're a person again. Who had that experience?
Crazy.
No blame. That's what happens. So that phony self is a dream self, and it can come back like that. All sorts of words for it. One of my favorites is chaya. Chaya also has a meaning in Hindi. What's chaya?
Shade.
Shade or a shadow. So it's a phony self. It's a shadow self. Another one is chidabhasa, a reflected self. back to Shankara and his jars of water. If it's nighttime and there's 6 jars of water and the moon is up there, you look in the jars, you see 6 moons. That's Chandra Abhasa, the reflection of the moon. And if you go like that to the water, the moon is broken. So something bad happens, and I think, I am a piece of Bucky. I am the lovable. And I'm so mad. How could you have done that to me? That seems so real. It's just like the fool thinks there's a moon in the jar and attributes the qualities of the water in the jar to the moon because they don't see the moon in the sky. So you and I get caught up in the dream, the swapna of samsara, because we get attached and identify to the equipment, the body, the mind, the intellect, the ego sense. All right, one more.
Tavat satyam jagat bhati shukti rajatam tam yatha yavana jnanate brahma sarvadhishtana matvayam. The world appears to be real so long as Brahman, the non-dual substratum of the entire creation, is not realized. It is like the illusion of silver in the mother of pearl.
So this particular metaphor reminds me of a time I was walking along the beach in Ocean Beach in San Francisco. And I'm walking along and I look down, I go, oh, good luck. Someone dropped a dime. So I reach down to pick up the dime and it's a little piece of shell. So again, our phenomenon of superimposition. What was there was a piece of shell, mother of pearl. But I superimposed silver there. Now, listen very carefully. Some of you who've done some Buddhist training, you will have been taught to see the world, physical objects, feelings, thoughts, as impermanent. Who's been exposed to that idea before? Vedanta takes it to a deeper level. Yes, it's impermanent. But the truth is, Brahma Satyam Jagan Mitya. Brahman, consciousness, the ground of being alone is real. The phenomena, Mithya, literally means a lie, means an illusion. The names and forms come about like the names and forms in a dream. It's just the one who's doing the dreaming is different. But the point is, the ground of being is never touched. Those of us who studied Bhagavad Gita, in the 2nd chapter, Arjuna has a total collapse. And he says, I will not fight. I'm a mess. And Krishna in the it's the 16th verse, not the 11th. It's the 16th verse. I don't know. It's early on. I'll have to look it up again. What Krishna says, you grieve for whom you should not grieve. Though you speak words of wisdom, what you're saying is worldly rational. The wise grieve neither for the living nor the dead. Oh, that's hard teaching. And the whole rest of the second chapter explains that. It's all okay. It's all okay. The self in everybody is safe. Which is more real, a pleasant dream or a nightmare? Hmm?
Nightmare.
What?
Nightmare.
Yes. Doesn't mean a nightmare isn't unpleasant, but it's not real. Neither dream touches you, the waker. Okay, we're going to end here. You have an assignment. Play with this subject-object discrimination. Here's the Cliff Notes version. If I can see it, if it occurs in time and space, if it has name and form, if it's limited to the waking dream or deep sleep state, and most importantly, if it is an object of cognition, it is not self. Koham, who am I? I'm the one who illumines all this. Play with this. In your meditation, go through this subject-object discrimination again, turning the attentive faculty within. See if you can notice the no thingness of your essential nature. We do this over and over and over again. This is jnana abhyasa. Then we're going to end with another Vedic chant, and then I want to play something for you. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Sri Guru Pyo Namaha. Hari Om.